Good morning, friends. Mark Holmes here, of course, with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, as well as Joe Bear in the house. And as always, I want to thank you guys for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, this literally does not work. So let's get open for business here, and let's wake up those football guys. Wake up here, guys. Wake up here on today. It is Thirsty Thursday, a special day. First of all, we actually hit 35,000 subscribers. Oh my God, I can't believe it. 35,000. Thank you guys so much for all the support, being here, commenting, liking, sharing content, giving your input, and everything else. I can't do this without you guys, so I appreciate you. So, the next order of business here, of course, this is a special day because some 17 years ago, I got married to my wife, Tracy Holmes. And it's crazy because 18 years ago, this day, we reconnected. See, we actually met in college, and I fell in love with her in college. And she was like, "Not happening. You're crazy, Mark." Well, I'm still crazy, Mark. But over the years, we kept running into each other, and, either I was tied up or she was tied up and things, and it just didn't work. But eventually, 18 years ago, we re-met, and bam. Next thing I know, we're married a year later, and it's been great. Not perfect, because I don't think there's anything out there that's perfect, but we realize that the two of us together are definitely better than the two of us single. So hats off to Miss Tracy, my wonderful wife, and happy anniversary. And the moral of this is if you're passionate about something, if you love something, keep working for it. It may take a long time to make your dreams come true, but never give up the dream and never stop working towards it, because eventually you will succeed. You basically wear them the heck down. That's what I did. I just wore it down. She just finally said, "Damn, okay, fine, I'll try it." And it worked. But anyway, this weekend is huge. We have right now Senior Bowl going on right now, Senior Bowl practice. Not a game now. We talking about practice. And come Saturday, we will have the Senior Bowl. Now, the Senior Bowl this year has even more significance than usual because the combine and the off season for the draft is going to be totally changed from where it was before. You're not going to be able to bring guys into your facilities to work out and to meet them and everything else. You're going to have to meet them by Skype. The combine, as we know it, does not exist. There'll be regional workouts where you're not able to get the whole crew of people together and so forth. So, and add to that the fact that there is a lot of teams that didn't play last year. So some of these guys haven't played for over a year. You're going to be drafting this year blind more than ever, and you're going to rely on what your scouts' work was well over a year ago. And for teams that are changing coaching staffs, I hope you're not getting rid of the scouting department, because it's going to be huge to have that in your repertoire to help know these guys that you're drafting. So it was 5 years ago that I was watching the Senior Bowl. Now, understand, I'm not the draft expert like my man DMV or Vosh Lombardi and all those things. I don't really pay attention to college football until about the Senior Bowl and start looking at the prospects that we may be drafting. I just don't have time. The Dallas Cowboys literally are a full-time job, and I have a full-time job. But it was the Senior Bowl 5 years ago that I was watching because the Dallas Cowboys coaching staff was the coaching of, one of the sides on the Senior Bowl. And there was all the buzz about Carson Wentz. And since we had a high draft pick, they were thinking, hey, maybe we'll go ahead and try and get Carson Wentz. And so I was watching that to see Carson Wentz. But it was in that game that I saw Dak Prescott play better than Carson Wentz. Ended up getting the MOP. Don't ask me why it's not MVP, but it was MOP. I can't remember what the initials stood for, but that's what it was. And I started saying, how come this guy is not getting the buzz of some of these other players? He was at Mississippi State, a school that's not a football factory, toughest conference in football, and got that team to a number one ranking without stars on his team. On this team, that his draft class on offense, it was only a tight end that was drafted with him in the 6th round. He didn't have stars and playmakers or future NFL players, but yet he was thriving. And so I kept saying, let me dig a little deeper in that. And that's why I got on board with Dak Prescott and why I still believe in Dak Prescott was because of the Senior Bowl. So Saturday, my man DMV will be here. We'll be watching the game. We'll be live streaming, and we'll try and keep up with some of the prospects and guys that the Dallas Cowboys may be interested in. And I can't wait, so I hope you guys will join us. But back to Dak Prescott. Here's my thoughts on the contract situation, okay? This is going to be the great NFL quarterback carousel. So many teams are looking to either fix their quarterback in the case of Carson Wentz. They've gone back through to get Dallas Cowboys quarterback coach from college to work with Carson Wentz. It's kind of funny that everybody thinks that Dak Prescott's trash, but we want to try and get somebody who taught that guy how to fix our guy who screwed up. It's just the irony of it is just hilarious. We know teams like now the Rams are saying there's an open competition for quarterback. You know that the Lions are going to move on with Matthew Stafford. Teams are already making calls and trying to make a trade for that one. We know Deshaun Watson wants to move. There's going to be a lot of upheaval. Big Ben, is he coming back? With a $42 million cap hit on the last year of his contract. Is Aaron Rodgers going to stay in Green Bay? Will they get him a new contract? And so on and so forth. Will Jameis Winston stay with New Orleans and be their starting quarterback? So many questions. And of course, there's the Dak Prescott. Now, Cowboy haters out there will say, let him walk. Let's trade for Stafford. Let's get Jared Goff. Let's get anybody. I keep Andy Dalton, whatever. But here's my thoughts on what the Dallas Cowboys situation is. My dad was asking, when is he going to be healed? Is he going to be all right for next year? And I said, well, you remember Allen Hurns. Allen Hurns against the Seattle Seahawks, by the way, a game that the Dallas Cowboys and Dak Prescott beat the Seattle Seahawks in the playoffs. He had a similar injury where it looked like his ankle literally was broken off. That was in January. Allen Hurns started week 1 in Miami. Same injury, basically. So Dak Prescott having it months ago, the prognosis was basically about February would be the early part of when it would be recovered. February to about March was the timetable that they were looking at, him being healed. Now, the Dallas Cowboys are unable to sign Dak Prescott to a long-term deal once the season ended. So at any time right now they can do it. And it behooves them to get a long-term deal done to reduce the cap number. But you also want to make sure that Dak Prescott's leg's okay. Now, everything seems to be going well and all that, but you never know. So what I think, this is my belief, is what'll happen is, because February 23rd is the beginning of opening of free agency, franchise tagging players, February 23rd to March 9th. You have to designate somebody then. By March 15th, everybody has to be under the cap because that's when free agency goes. So if you're New Orleans and you're $92 million over the cap, you got to get to zero. You got to get into the black. If you're the Eagles, it's $52 million over. You got to get rid of some players or restructure to get to zero. And when you franchise tag them, that money is going to count against it. And currently the Cowboys have, depending on what sites you look at, $14 to $17 million, which means the Cowboys, if they franchise tag Dak, have to come up with an additional $20 million. And if they only come up with 20 and they tag him and keep him on the tag, you're not a player in free agency. So here's the thing that I think will happen. The Cowboys are going to try and buy as much time as possible to make sure this leg is healthy. I think they go ahead and they designate him the franchise tag, the first week or during the franchise tag period, and they keep watching. But by the 14th of March, this is my thoughts, and again, I can be completely wrong, but I think by the 14th of March, they get this long-term deal done so that way they can reduce the cap number. But that buys them more time to really see how he is. Is he able to, start to run? How much weight can he put on it? What does it really look like before we sign a big $150, $200 million contract with them. And quite frankly, that would be the prudent thing to do it. And what this would do, if this is the plan, it buys you the time to make sure it's good. But once you get this deal done, it gives you space to go ahead and be a player in free agency. And the thing with free agency is this. You can't build a team on free agency. You've got so many of these talking heads out there saying, oh, don't take Dak Prescott, take that money and build a defense. Okay. Hypothetically, let's say we had $40 million to spend on defense. Let's say we did that. It's short-sighted because now you're talking about guys that are past their prime. The window for NFL players usually is 3 years. That's the average life expectancy. You're now looking at taking a guy who is now getting his second contract. And usually you only see 1 or 2 years out of these big free agent signings. They're not a long-term thing, which hence goes back to the Senior Bowl. The way you build a team that is sustainable is through the draft. The only time I've seen a team go out and buy a defense that worked was the 2016 New York Giants, where they spent $250 million on their defense. It worked for 1 season. And then they were bloated with contracts. And, I'll give you another example. How much money did the Cleveland Browns spend on Odell Beckham? Has Odell Beckham been the driver for change for him? No. And very rarely is it. It's through the draft. Now, that's not to say that free agency can't supplement what you have, but it's not a way of building a defense. If you want to go out and say, we're going to get a safety, you go out and get a safety. But you need to fill in the rest of the parts through the draft. Or if you say, hey, we're going to get one player that we know is going to be a lights out starter. Do that. Don't sit here and say, I'm going to get a little piece here, a little piece there, because you saw what happened. The dead money that we put on the cap could have been a blue chip player. So for me, this is the best of both worlds for the Dallas Cowboys. There aren't a lot of great options as far as quarterbacks go. It's either going to cost you draft picks and money, or it's rolling the dice and hoping that you hit lightning in a bottle and getting a guy in the draft. And drafting guys in the 4th round that end up being what Dak Prescott is are few and far between. You got lucky the first time. Don't just sit here and say, hey, that bird in the hand beats the 2 in the bush, because that bush is screwed up. So that being said, I am done with this morning. I got work to do in my workshop. I need to go out and get some flowers for the wife and figure out what nice meal I'm going to cook for her for dinner. And any suggestions that you have of what I should cook for dinner for her, be sure to leave it in the thing here. I think I got an idea. I know what she likes. For me, it would be a nice, big, thick ribeye. And I kind of said, how about I cook a nice, big steak? And she's like, we had steak, last week. I don't like that much. Oh, steak. So I'll figure out something. But drop a little hint here. Maybe it'll be a big ribeye for me, and maybe it'll be like fried oysters for her or something like that. Okay. All right. Hope you guys have a great day. Got work to do in the workshop. May do a little live stream in there later on. Who knows? But I'll see you soon.